Hey, Drew James here from LearnGuitarInLondon.com. If you want to get the blood flowing to your fingers, get your hands nice and warmed up, you can do far worse than using the minor pentatonic scale. Perhaps it's a scale you've learned before and you've had a go at. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be expanding on it and how I use it with my warm-ups and my practices when I play. So the scale itself, just to get straight into it, I'm going to stick on fret 5 for today. Now this is called a movable scale, so it means that as long as you know what note is on the thickest string, you can play it in that particular key. But we're going to be on fret 5 just because it's a little easier to stretch the fingers and get started. You need to memorize the fingers if you don't know it. And I did it by fingers when I first learned. So index finger on fret 5, pinky finger on fret 8. Notice I'm in this position here, right? So this position is really important. I'm not doing this, right? So you can see as in that other camera there, so I'm stretching away. I'm getting everything ready for action. And I do that by taking the thumb, as you can see in this camera, but taking the thumb really far around the neck, like I'm doing a bar chord, if you know what that is. So I'm not bringing my thumb up over like this. Instead, I'm round. What it does to do that, to be sort of, I'm about halfway around the neck, pointing the thumb tip to the head of the instrument. That just helps open out the hand and open out the fingers. And time again, I've seen acoustic players bringing the thumb up over with everything that they're doing. And it just means that if you do that, then you might be bringing the thumb round like this and you just can't stretch. It's impossible to open your hand out. It doesn't matter who you are if you're doing that. So that thumb position is really important to lay those fingers out and ready. So index, pinky on fret 8, then you're done with that string. Index on the next string, on the A string, on 5, ring finger on 7. Same on the next string, same on the next string. So the beauty of memorizing this is that there's 3 strings that it's just identical. The E string is just 7, 5 and 8, and you're going to copy that when you get to the B string. So index on fret 5, pinky finger on 8, and the same on the thinner string, and then pinky finger on 8. You can finish the scale here, which means that you're staying on your A, and this is an A, but I like to use the pinky just to help extend the scale beyond that. And it's also just, this is a workout for the fingers. So think of it in terms of fingers. Index, pinky, index, ring, index, ring, index, ring, index, pinky, index, pinky. And with any warm-up or scale like this, it's always a good idea not just to ascend. So ascend means the sound is getting higher. Da, 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 da. So it's ascending, it's getting higher, but also descend. So go back the way you came. So at the moment, if you are finding that hard and there's a lot of like, what finger am I using, where am I going? I recommend spending at least a week just doing that for about 2 to 3 minutes, just playing it through, okay? You can use a plectrum or your fingers with this, it doesn't really matter right now, but make sure you can ascend and descend, and preferably do it to a metronome. 80 BPM is a nice starting point for something like this. Great, so that's stage 1, getting the scale under your fingers. Let's look at stage 2. Now, there are many times with playing guitar with picking notes and arpeggios where you don't just linear go down the strings with your plectrum. You have to miss out strings. Sometimes you might start on the thickest string and then go to the thinnest string, or start on the thinnest string and then go back up. So the point being, you don't always linear go down the string. So if you practice the scale just like this, you're always just going to be going linear down and linear back up. This starts to give the right hand a little bit of a workout, and it's the natural thing that I would go to next. And this is called skip and return. So this is where we play the first string as normal, index, pinky, then we skip down to the D string and play that. Then we go to the string that we skipped, which is the A string, and play that. Then we skip to the G, return, skip, return, and finally skip. Okay, so if you've done it right, you'll finish on a skip and you'll be on the thinnest string. So skip, return, skip, return, skip, return, and skip. Keeping nice and seated with, if you're using a plectrum, and grabbing plenty of that plectrum to sew just a couple of millimeters of the plectrum as you're playing through. I personally like to anchor point my little finger as I play these exercises. It might not always work for you. So keeping nice and close and doing your skip and return. Don't forget to ascend it and descend it. This is ascending and descending. Skip, return, skip, return, skip, return, and skip. If you've done it right, you'll always finish on the relevant note and on the right string. If you've done it wrong, you'll end up in a bit of a pickle. So that's skip and return. Really good workout for the plectrum and the picking hand, as well as making nailing that you know the scale well enough to start messing around with its order. And the third one to really mess around with its order is called 3 in a row. So what this means is that we play 3 notes of the scale, which, by the way, if you know other scales, both of these exercises, previous, skip and return and 3 in a row, can be applied. So you play 3 notes up the scale, and then you start on the next subsequent note of the scale. So this would be here with the little finger, and go up by 3. 1, 2, 3. You then start on the 3rd note and go up by 3. 4th note. 5th note. So not only does this drill your knowledge of how well you know the scale, but you ascend a note, you go up by 1 note each time you do your block of 3. It makes the scale longer and a better workout for your fingers. And if you've done it correctly, you'll finish on that little finger there, okay? And then you need to descend. You're seeing all the while I'm keeping these fingers really close to the strings. If you're not close to the strings, you're going to get inaccuracies, both with your picking and your tones, okay? Stay as close as you can. So that's the 3 in a row. Next, let's look at slides. So sliding is something that happens in all guitar, regardless of if it's acoustic or electric. So instead of playing the notes and picking them twice on each string, you're just going to pick once. That's the important differentiation to note. You're going to pick it and you're going to slide the note up to fret 8. So in this particular case, it's 5 to 8. Then we're going to play 5 on the A string and go to 7. Now with the slide, I'm keeping the finger as you can see there, I'm keeping it kind of low down. I'm not doing it like I would if I was doing a chord and on my fingertips. I'm quite lazy with the finger. I'm not using the callus. I'm actually below my callus as I fret it out. So I'm playing the note and dragging it. Now you know you've got a successful slide because when you make the destination, and by the way, I recommend you look at fret 8 if you're going from 5 to 8, or 7 if you're going to 7. You look there and you know you've got a successful one when the guitar keeps ringing. Can you hear that? It's unsuccessful if you've got this and it's stopped, right? Or you've gone too far. You'll know when you've gone too far because it won't sound right, or too short. So when you get there, you need to keep the pressure down on the note so it rings. Don't stop it like that. So there's some tips. So 5 to 8, then to 7. 5 to 7, 5 to 7, 5 to 8, 5 to 8, and then descent, 8 to 5, 7 to 5. Okay? Okay, so that is sliding your notes. Next is including it as hammer-ons rather than picking the notes. Really good workout for the fretting hand rather than just picking the notes. A lot of the time in lead guitar playing, especially if you're plugged, you can hammer your notes, and that technique does happen quite a bit. So we're going to be looking at picking, hammering with pinky. Now a successful hammer-on should sound as loud, if you can, and that should be something you're always going to aim for, as loud as a picked note. Now you will find with the little finger being the weakest of all the fingers, it's going to be harder to get that volume, but it's an ongoing quest and one that I'm still going for as well. So that is hammering on your scale. Oops, sorry. Tips on the hammer-on: you need to land in the middle of the frets, not either side, otherwise when you hit that hammer-on destination, it's going to be compromised. You've really got to make sure you're in the middle. And the one that I recommend working on is on the A and the D string if you can't get any volume, because it's harder to get it out of the thinner strings because they don't hold as much weight. So working on this is a great workout for your playing. My thumb position throughout this hasn't really moved at all. When I'm doing the hammer-ons, I'm just slightly higher than I was when I was doing the straight scale. The reason for that is the thumb gives me a little more to hit against. Even though it's not behind where I'm hammering on, it does just help absorb the hit a little better than it does if it's lower down. But that's personal, and it does depend on your hand shape as well. So that is hammering the minor pentatonic scale. Finally, flick-offs. So with the flick-offs, a good way to look at them is to combine them with the hammer-ons. You do hammer-ons as you ascend the scale, remember, getting higher. When you get to the flick-offs, you do it when you're descending. So a key element of the flick-offs, and the reason why I've left them till last, is because they do require that you have to have both fingers held down at the same time, which depending on your skill level, it might be too difficult. You might have to lift up like this. And if you can't have both fingers held down, then you're not going to get a successful flick-off. So you are playing the 8, and with the pinky finger, you're flicking it away to reveal to the 5. So you have to have both fingers down on the same string to perform them. So you can pick them with your plectrum or thumb and then drag the finger. Tips on flick-offs is, once again, my fingers aren't all rigid on up like this to get the flick-off sound. I'm using below the callus of my pinky finger to get that dragged noise. The same with the ring finger. I'm actually dragging the callus at the bottom, so the fleshier part of my finger, I've got the callus just above that, and that is what's pinging off. So I'm using the callus as the means to get that sound. Okay, so descend with them. Pick, flick, pick, flick, pick, flick. And like the hammer-ons, you want them the same volume as a picked note. Okay, and one other just little thing to look out for. When you're on the thicker strings and you're holding down 2, it can be really easy to bend the string and pull it down like this because of the 2 fingers together. That's going to give you improper tone and going to make you sound out of tune. Right, there you go, you can hear an example. Right, so instead look to press the pressure through the neck and drag the finger away. And combine these. When you're practicing, when you're warming up for 2 to 5 minutes, combine these. Once you know them off by heart, you can start to use them with other scales as well, and also speed. You can do them, I recommend starting at 80 BPM. It's a nice slow tempo. If that's too quick for some of the exercises, then go to 60, but 80 is a nice mid-tempo for most sort of middle beginner to intermediate players. But then start to speed it up. Look to go faster, but listen out for your tone, listen to what the notes sound like. If they're ever sounding sort of fluffy, or as you move up the speed, your plectrum's being inaccurate, you're picking the wrong strings, then come back down into speed and just listen to what you're doing. If you're not listening to what you're doing, then it might kind of sound all right in your head, but then the reality is that it's muted, it's not sounding as good as it could. So I hope you've enjoyed those. Keep on playing. See you again soon.